Linda Maria Frank is a former teacher. I taught science in high school and in college, and I decided somewhere in my high school career while I was teaching forensic science that I would write a mystery series. And I decided to write the mystery series simply because I had, first of all, forensic science. I was writing little mystery stories for my kids to solve, for my students to solve. And I liked some of the stories, so what I did was I converted some of those little mystery stories into books, and I put them away for a while, and then I took them out, and I decided I don't know anything about writing a book, so I took a course in how to write a novel, and I produced the first two books, which were The Madonna Ghost and Girl with Pencil Drawing, and I self-published because I just really felt that I was too old to wait to be discovered. And then I got to promoting the books. Promoting the books is really the hardest thing. Writing is fun. Publishing is, well, it's easy with self-publishing, but promoting the books, marketing, is the most difficult part. So part of my marketing ploy was to do a television program called The Writer's Dream, and I became the producer of that show, and I've done 125 interviews. So I am a teacher, a mystery writer, and a lecturer. I do lectures on forensics. So Annie Tillery is a 17-year-old girl who lives with her aunt, who's a New York City police detective, whose mother has a drug abuse problem, an alcohol and drug abuse problem, whose father works for the State Department and is never home. So she has a kind of a background that creates a few problems for her. So she's like a typical teenager today. Typical teenagers today have one problem or another. Very few have a perfect family. So I tried to create a girl who was smart but not nerdy, attractive but not gorgeous, and certainly very daring. She really gets herself involved in all kinds of situations where she ends up solving mysteries really with the help of her aunt, who's a detective, and she has this wonderful boyfriend. And the boyfriend his name is Tyler Egan, and the two of them together really get into some very dangerous situations, some very exciting situations, sailing, flying, working at an archaeological dig. She has a lot of adventures, and she's a very daring person. She's willing to try anything. So that's my Annie Tillery. So I really think that people would enjoy these books. I did have a reader in mind. My readers are advanced elementary through, I would say, ninth grade. I loved Nancy Drew when I was a kid. And I also taught forensic science, so I love mystery. So I decided to marry the two. And I advertised the books as Nancy Drew meets CS.I. My Annie Tillery is a lot more sophisticated than Nancy Drew ever was. So one of the things that I think that the reader enjoys, because I know the popularity of all of the forensic science shows on television, is there is a lot of forensic science. Annie Tillery solves these mysteries by using science. Every one of these books has a very, very nice setting. The first one, called The Madonna Ghost, takes place on Fire Island. There's a lot about sailing. It's a ghost story. The ghost is based on the history of Fire Island, and the ghost is hiding a dastardly secret that impacts on national security. And by the way, I wrote that before 9/11. Girl with Pencil Drawing has to do with art forgery and how art pieces are authenticated, and Annie and her art instructor actually discover a team of art forgers who are willing to murder rather than give up their very lucrative trade. The backstory in that book is the same as the Monuments Men, what the Nazis did with the art that they confiscated from the Jews. Secrets in the Fairy Chimneys takes place at an archaeological dig, which is a real place in Turkey, and it has to do with stolen artifacts. And there's a pair of twins in that book that try to convince Annie to use a Ouija board to channel Nancy Drew to solve the mystery. So there's a lot of humor in that one. So the last one is a story about Annie's great-grandmother, who was a test pilot for Grumman during World War II. So it takes place in 1943 and the present, and it has to do with some hanky-panky that was going on during World War II. So all of the books have some science used to solve the mystery, some history, which is very interesting, and they're page turners. At the end of every chapter, people have told me this, I need to go on to the next chapter because I want to find out what's happening. So they're exciting. They're exciting reading.